I make a cake or I do a cake? Which one is correct? Hi, my name is Danny, your teacher and creator of Cultivando Inglês. Knowing when to use to do versus to make can be tricky for native speakers of Portuguese because both of these verbs translate to the same word, fazer. I have a tip to help you know when to use one versus the other. The verb to do is used to talk about completing something that already exists, like a task. Let's look at an example. You have to do your homework. Homework was assigned by your teacher, so it is something that already exists. It is also something that needs to be completed. Therefore, we use the verb to do. Here's another example. I need to do the dishes. We use do because the dishes already exist, and washing the dishes is a task that needs to be completed. While we use to do to talk about something that already exists, we use to make when referring to the act of creating or producing something that does not yet exist. For example, I am going to make a cake. The cake does not yet exist, and I am going to create one. Here is another example. I need to make a list. The list does not yet exist. It is something I am going to create. Here's one last example. I am going to make a list of things to do. We use make when talking about creating the list because it doesn't exist yet. But it is a list of things to do. In other words, the things on the list are things that need to be completed. So we use to do. In English, we call this type of list a to-do list. To summarize, if something already exists and is a task that needs to be completed, we use to do. If something does not yet exist and will be created, we use to make. This rule works most of the time, but of course, there are some exceptions. Sometimes we use the verbs to do and to make to talk about things that don't fall neatly into these two categories. Let's look at some common examples of the verb to do. To do exercises. You need to do your exercises every day. To do some type of physical activity. We do yoga 3 times a week. They do calisthenics. To do well. I hope I do well on this test. To do badly. If I do badly on this test, I'm going to fail the class. To do a favor. Can you do me a favor? To do a good job. He always does a good job. To do your best. It's always good to do your best. Now, the verb to make. To make an appointment. I need to make an appointment with the doctor. To make a choice. We make a lot of choices every day. To make a decision. We need to make a decision soon. To make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. To make a promise. I don't like to make promises. To make money. You need to make money to survive. To make an excuse. He always makes an excuse. To make a joke. She always makes jokes about her family members. To make noise. Kids make a lot of noise. To make friends. Do you make friends easily? To make your bed. I make my bed every morning. Now, let's practice the conjugation of both verbs while also practicing pronunciation. I am going to say each sentence slowly and then give you some time to repeat after me. Let's start with the verb to do. I do the laundry. You do a good job. She does her best. He does his best. It does something. We do the dishes. You all do exercise. They do yoga. Notice that the only pronouns with a different conjugation are she, he, and it. Also, notice the difference in pronunciation between do and does. In do, the letter O makes an oo sound. In does, the letter O makes an sound. Also, notice how the letter S is pronounced as a Z. Does, does. Now, let's conjugate the verb to make. I make dinner. You make food. She makes promises. He makes lunch. It makes a lot of noise. We make jokes. You all make money. They make excuses. Again, notice that the only pronouns with a different conjugation are she, he, and it. Also, notice that the S in makes is pronounced as an S. Makes. I recommend that you watch this video 2 more times. First, to reinforce your understanding of the content, and second, to focus on my pronunciation. You can find a PDF of the complete transcript with both the English and Portuguese texts. Simply click on the link in the description of the video. If you like this video, follow my channel. I post a video once a week about English vocabulary, expressions, grammar, and pronunciation. See you next time. Bye.